This is the Surly Grognards for March 13th, 2017. This is Peter Bowman, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Eric Carlson. How are you doing tonight, Eric?
I'm doing all right.
Most excellent. So, we're going to be doing a topic suggested by one of our viewers. Zent the First writes in and says, "Hey guys, I've got a topic that you could do on the next Grognards. Role-playing character archetypes and tropes you hate or love, mainly focusing on the ones you dislike since we have roughly seen most of the stuff you guys like. But if you don't feel like just doing the ones you don't like gives you enough to talk about, do the ones you like as well."
All right.
Well, I guess we'll... I don't like being wholly negative on that sort of stuff. But...
Sure. Yeah, I've seen pretty much any archetype that I can think off the top of my head done well. So I usually think of the well-done ones before I go to the bad ones, but I've seen enough bad ones to know where the ones that really got under my skin.
Yeah. I guess for the ones I don't like, the one that always... It's not so much that I don't like the archetype or the trope. It's more that I think it's problematic. Is the lone wolf.
Mm.
You know, Wolverine. People wanting to be Wolverine. And not...
I'm such a loner, and I do things on my own. I don't work on a team, except for all the times I do. Like right now, on this team that I'm totally not a part of. Shut up. Yeah.
But they don't get into the part where Wolverine does work with the team and actually does work well with the team.
Yes.
They obsess over the part of, I'm a loner, and I don't get along with everybody, and grrr, grim and gritty, rawr.
Yeah, no, the biggest problem with the lone wolf that I've seen is they tend to be intentionally break up the party and hog spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
You usually see people playing that who are either inexperienced with playing it in groups, like they're new to gaming, and it's an easy habit to break for them, honestly. Yep. Or assholes. Or someone experimenting with the archetype because they haven't done it before and realizing that they're not... That's when it's done poorly, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, no, of course it can be done well. I mean...
Yeah, I've seen it done well a couple times. Like I accidentally did it well, and or at least I hope I did it well. I did end up leaving that switching out that character though, because he did become problematic. Accidentally blowing up the vampire hangout in a World of Darkness game. Less accidentally, more contingency plan went off without my knowledge.
I see. Was this your were-rat?
This is my were-rat.
I've heard you talk about this one before.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun, and I think I did him well, but yeah, he ended up becoming problematic. He was... The were-rat being the lone wolf is ironic. Particularly in a world of werewolves.
But yeah, the problem with the lone wolf, honestly, is just the... Role-playing games are, by their nature, cooperative efforts. So
yes.
Being a lone wolf sort of runs counter to the... The thing is, there are games where that works.
Ember springs to mind, where everyone's playing against everyone else already.
Yeah. Ember, by its structure, tends to favor characters who are strongly independent and will go off and do their own thing. And the campaign the game is structured such that you're supposed to do that from time to time, or even significant chunks of time. And in many ways, it's often a game of a bunch of lone wolf characters who all favor operating on their own, being forced to work together from time to time, or not, depending on the game.
Right.
Sometimes they're working against each other because, again, Amber.
Right. One of the best uses of the lone wolf archetype is that's what they start at, but not the intended endpoint.
Right.
Where they're used to working alone and doing everything on their own, and coming to realize there are people they can rely on, and that's the party.
Right, and that's and
that's Wolverine's whole story arc in his first part of the X-Men.
Right. I mean, it shows up in a bunch of fiction, and another great example I can think of off the top of my head is Parker and Leverage. Because for the first first couple of seasons, there's a lot of the team, often Hardison, sort of
Right.
driving home the point to Parker that no, you're not on your own anymore. You have people who you can depend, who will back you up and are right there for you.
And more the point, when you fuck up like this, you put everyone in danger.
Right.
It's not just your hide you're risking anymore.
Right.
Which is probably the problematic lone wolf is almost always the guy that doesn't get that.
Right.
Like you pulling this shit is endangering everyone else's character. Not to mention the poor GM's campaign notes.
the GM's campaign notes. Oh, the tragedy. The number of times
I'm not to say you can't have an antagonistic relationship with the party. It's just that you're on their team. You don't have to like them. In fact, you can have fun stuff with characters just not getting along but being forced to work together. Requires a certain pair of players, though, to make that work.
Yes.
Like if one person's on board and the other person's not, then things get real messy. Or if they're both really bad at it.
Yeah. I've had over the years people try. I've never had people who are. I don't think of any of the games I've run over. I mean, I've been running games for a long time with a lot of different people, and I can't remember players who were playing the lone wolf because that was their sort of they wanted the spotlight to themselves, and they were doing it for all the wrong reasons. Usually, it was because they were trying something new, or trying something different, or they had a plan for the lone wolf who ends up who ends up learning to work with the group. But I've seen
that the last one is the one I really appreciate seeing done well.
Yes.
I haven't been able to pull it off.
Yeah, I've not seen. I'm trying to remember if of examples where I've seen it actually work, and I'm blanking.
Chris's pilot in your Grub Smeckware campaign.
Oh yeah. That's right.
She was very much a lone wolf, wild child kind of thing that eventually ended up like figuring out how to work in a unit and be part of the group.
Right. Yes, that's a good example. It happens occasionally in feng shui games, but that's again sort of the nature of feng shui.
That's sort of the nature of feng shui, right?
It's a collective group of badasses. Some of whom are like used to being like, "Ha! I don't need people. I'm a badass."
Yeah, I mean Vorkos in the current feng shui Star Wars game could so easily fall into that trope, and I'm purposely avoiding it.
Right. Well, I mean, part of the way you've been avoiding that, it was just because you and Nick decided that your characters had been working together for a while and had learned to trust each other.
Exactly, and the mildly antagonistic relationship with Word's character, which has largely resolved itself.
Yep.
We get on moderately well now, and that we're no longer constantly trying to undercut one another.
Right. I suspect you'll snipe at each other banter like from time to time.
Well, that's banter. It doesn't count.
Oh God. So yeah, the lone wolf is the one that sort of, as I said, leaps to mind.
Yeah, and I can totally understand why the lone wolf is a problem. One, because they tend to hog the spotlight, meaning to or not. And two, it's a lot more work for the GM. The one that really gets under my skin is the poorly done, smarmy know-it-all.
Yeah.
Mainly, and mainly because I've dealt with enough of those people in real life, and I really just want to shove their faces into a blender. It's really hard for me to not do it where the consequences are just having a friend be mildly angry at me.
I admit I tend to play, a lot of my characters sort of almost fall into that trope.
Mm.
Almost. Usually not the smarmy side of it.
The smarmy is the one that does it, though.
Yes, I know.
That's like, oh, you little arrogant fuckwit. I'm just going to shove you in this garbage compactor and then feed you to my dog and then set the dog shit on fire because then you'll be dead, shit, and on fire.
But, I have played a fair number of fairly arrogant, sort of know-it-all types.
The arrogant bastard is one thing. The smarmy know-it-all is another.
Right.
The arrogant bastard is another matter entirely. And a well-done arrogant bastard is fucking awesome.
Oh, God. But, you think about the characters you've seen me play, Eric, and,
yeah.
I mean...
You gravitate much stronger towards the arrogant bastard. The difference is subtle but important.
Yeah, I agree.
Like there's no smarm in your arrogant bastards, but there's a lot of, yeah, I'm a bastard. Yeah, I'm better than you, but yeah, whatever. Fuck off and die.
Oh, for fuck's sake, you morons! What are you doing?
Another variation on that character I really like is the put upon professional.
Yep.
I really like the put upon professional because they're just sort of like, can you please no. You're all idiots.
Yeah, that was Smythe from the Iron Kingdoms game.
Yes, that was very much Smythe. I'm using it as my character in the Shadowrun game I'm on Tuesdays also. The put upon professional who, yeah, he's... As the other characters prove their competence, it's less of more of a, okay, let's see how you make this work. As he rubs his temple.
Yeah. So yeah, specifically Smythe was this. I think we've mentioned this before. This is Eric's Iron Kingdoms game that he ran. The character I was playing was an intellectual archetype, alchemist bounty hunter.
Yes.
And so he was weird. He was definitively of the group. The group was mostly a bunch of combat monsters.
Yes.
Who were all individually very dangerous. And Smythe was definitively the least dangerous individually of the bunch. Like,
in a straight-up fight, yes.
Like, there was no one in the group he could take in a straight-up one-on-one fight. Like, not even close. He'd be steamrollered by basically everybody in the party. The problem is that if you remove Smythe from the party and have them go up against the party just falls apart.
Like that entire party was held together by Smythe and his brains, his professionalism, and the fact he let people shoot into close combat.
Yes.
And the fact that he laid down smoke bombs all over the place for the two cutthroats.
Yep. And it was generally just a pain in the ass and doing annoying things, doing things to annoy the enemy and disrupt their plans, because that was what he did.
Yep. Oh no, there are a few times where you fed stuff into the blender that was Resnick or what was Chris's character's name? Doc. No, yeah. Jotun was someone else.
Oh yeah,
Doc.
Yeah. Yeah, into Resnick or Doc or God, what was Will's character's name?
Oh shit, I don't remember. The other troll. The problem is Will was such I want to say it began with an I.
I don't know.
Will was so infrequent a player, unfortunately, largely because of the schedule. I ended up knowing that character better than he did.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Hannah's character in mine basically would sit on the outside of all these melee monsters and just start bombarding them with gunshots.
Yep.
Especially Hannah's character.
Yeah, Hannah was the
thief highwayman. She was originally Thief Highwayman and then picked up Pistolier after that.
Right, right.
Whereas I picked up Military Officer to make myself even more ridiculous.
Yes, because
At what I did. And now I hand out feat points to everybody when I earn them.
Didn't you also pick up the battle plan where you just made people stand up? If I remember correctly, exactly around the same time I started using guys with the earthquake spell.
I think I might have, yeah. I don't remember. It's been a little while. That character was it was just designed. All he did was make combats just bizarre.
He did an excellent job of just holding that group together and making it run like a well-oiled machine.
Mm-hmm. But so again, back to the character archetype. He was, an intellectual. He was a professional, and dear Lord, he was surrounded by lunatics.
Yes. Well, Hannah's character and Leland's character mostly.
Yeah, like Doc was fine, and
yeah.
And Will's
Doc was professional that understood that what his place on the team was and what his and he was a little bit of the smarmy bastard, honestly.
Yeah, he was.
But he was well done because Chris does that archetype relatively well.
Yep. I mean, he wasn't he wasn't a he was a cocky professional, really.
Yeah.
I mean, cocky is all Yeah.
Of course, I can take it.
Yeah, he was overconfident, but he wasn't I wouldn't call Doc smarmy is the thing.
Yeah.
Overconfident and cocky, yes. Absolutely. But there was a level of sort of, trying to think of the right word for it. He was too charismatic to be smarmy, I think is what it boils down to. And he generally
that character really should have picked up Fell Color at some point.
But he generally got along with people was the big thing.
Yeah. No, Ben Doc got along with pretty much everybody who wasn't trying to stab.
Yeah. And generally he didn't only try to stab people because it was, a job.
Right.
It was, I've been hired to kill you. Whatever. It's just it's just business, man. I got
nothing personal. Nothing personal, man. Well, a little personal because you don't like how my coat hangs, and that's just I got this tailor that's really offended by that. But
all right, so
but another archetype I hate is the mage tank. And I've done the mage tank myself, so I can't feel too bad about it. But it always reeks of I want to be able to do everything.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Will's character was a mage tank. It was a mage tank that I was going to play myself. Because I just really like the idea of the heavily armor-plated Trollkin Earthbender.
Yeah, and I think it depends on the game. Like there are games, there are game systems where that's not a problem, and campaign types where that's not a problem. In a superhero game, whatever.
Yeah, the mage tank is pretty much a given I mean, that was what Dr. Arcane really was.
Yeah, largely.
It was exactly what he was thinking about it. He was wearing powered armor and used magic.
Yeah, and from a technological standpoint, Sophia was similar also. Word's character. The power armor character in superhero genres is the classic mage tank. Generally, classically, it's crazy, weird ranged abilities plus high toughness and mobility.
Right.
But in a superhero game, that's
a superhero campaign, though.
Right. Exactly.
Like you're going to. It fits the power scale.
Right, absolutely.
It's where they're purposely trying to skew the power scale so that they can be the best at everything ever. Gar.
Well, yes. Well, yeah.
Like the Dungeon Dragon Second Edition fucking Blade Singer.
Yeah.
And not gonna lie, I played one briefly before I realized that wow, the complete Book of Elves is shit.
Oh god, that book. That book
Well,
was
it's completely invalid every choice that doesn't have pointy ears.
well. The problem with that book is that the kits in that book were this wild ride between completely fucking useless and broken beyond all recognition.
Yep.
Oh god.
And the problem with the Blade Singer was that it was intentionally made to completely bypass the inherent limitations of being both a fighter and a wizard.
Right. I mean,
being a magic knight is cool. There's a difference between being a magic knight and being a mage tank.
yes.
And the magic knight works within the confines of the game system and the power balance of the group. The mage tank tries to break it and make themselves god.
Right.
And
absolutely.
it's a, I guess it's more of a motivation thing than anything else.
Yes, I would agree with that. I mean, yeah. I mean, honestly, another great example of it, honestly, would be the third edition cleric in D&D.
Yeah.
Oh lordy.
I never played a cleric in third ed D&D.
After a certain point, there's a reason that it was between the druid and the cleric, you had Godzilla and Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah. And kind of wanted to play a druid simply because I really like the idea of the predatory, like, feral druid who like spouted like insane violent wisdom, and instead of good berry he had good goblets of raw meat. Simply because I like turning the idea of the druid on from like the hippy dippy at one with nature and balance with everything to the red and tooth and claw character.
Which was entirely doable in third edition.
Yeah, and which is why I kind of wanted to do it at some point, but never got around to it.
Natural spell, Eric. Natural spell.
I know.
But wait, you can cast. This feat allows you to cast spells while you're wild shape. Wait, what?
Dope.
Why would you not take this feat?
Yeah. That if you're going to have that feat, then it should be just built into the class. It should not be a feat. If it's going to exist, it should be built into the class, and the class should be balanced around that. But third edition was, as many fond memories I have of it, not a balanced system.
Yeah.
And there are a few times I thought about playing it like a Thane of Thor kind of thing for
the Thane from Dark Age of Camelot.
Yeah, basically. In third ed, but I ended up going with a more conventionally Eric-y character.
Sure. But yeah, that whole sort of, wanting to be best at everything, it's I believe it's often referred to as the pro from Dover type thing, where you want to be the best at everything you do.
Right.
And you want to do everything. And it's like, and it's a thing that can happen in a lot of point-based systems because, it's a point-based system. And if you game this, if you
game this properly, right. Weirdly enough, in point-based systems, maybe it's because of the groups of people I play point-based systems with, I've never seen that. I've seen people accidentally break it trying to do something weird and unusual and finding something that works really well.
Oh, sure. And it is definitely a what the players you play with type thing. It's the Pro from Dover thing is really a sort of more of a mindset thing for some players, and they try to do players like that try to do that sort of thing in any system they play. It doesn't have to be point based.
And weirdly enough, I don't play with those people.
Right. Let's see. Other archetypes and tropes that we don't like in gaming. That's the thing. For characters.
Um,
Oh, the one I've become increasingly sort of sick of is the super special, like I am totally unique and different from everyone else of my my species thing.
oh, right.
Thanks,
The
Drist.
Dritz no Erden, for all
Thanks,
intents and
Drist.
purposes.
Thanks, Drist.
Yeah. I will say that I have done the oh no, I'm not like other gnolls, dark elves, space orcs. I totally am. I'm just pretending I'm not.
I mean, and again, it's like I get why people want to do that because they conceptually like elements of that race, that species. But
Who doesn't want to play a 7-foot tall hyena man?
I've done it. I admit the gnoll I played a gnoll like that in Living Forgotten Realms our fourth edition, who was who was a monk
Right.
and basically had grown up in a monastery and therefore had learned some things about not being a complete a gnoll.
And I totally understand wanting to play something that is
I mean, playing against
wanting to
type
play
is
a
fun.
monster. Trust me, I understand wanting to play monsters.
Right.
I'm all about playing monsters.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's again, it sort of falls into the it's sort of how you approach it. Honestly, I think because again, like that can work really well because you're playing against type for your species, and that's fine. Uh, and that can lead to some interesting stuff. But it's less. It depends on if you approach it from I'm doing something. I'm playing. This is this is an atypical member of the species, and I'm doing this to explore sort of the contradictions between this, as opposed to look at how special I am. I'm amazing, aren't I? Aren't I so cool?
Right.
And therefore, look, put the spotlight on me. I'm so different and unique.
Like one of the things I really like about the idea of playing, say, a Space Orc in 40k with a group of Rogue Traders in, say, Rogue Trader, is the idea of playing a hired orc that's higher up in the thing, and the constant, I'm the biggest, but he has the biggest hat, and that's more important for humans. But I'm bigger than he is. But he has the bigger hat. That constant, like, back and forth ping-ponging in their very empty skull. Which is something I did in a group that did not work with.
Right.
And I really liked the idea of being someone's, like, Starscream. Like, yes, you are the boss. I understand. You are in charge. Why are you in charge again? I should be in charge. I'm the biggest. No, wait, he's got the biggest hat. Literally in this case. I should have the biggest hat. I could take his biggest hat.
Yeah. It as I said, it really does depend on how you approach it, I think. But
yeah,
it's
the people you're playing with. There
absolutely.
Was that campaign had so many flaws. Like no one was on the same page at all.
Right.
And yeah, it didn't click.
Right, and that happens.
Yeah, about halfway through, I switched over from being Starscream to being Soundwave. Simply in the interest of player harmony.
Right. Yeah, having Starscream in the group is all well and good conceptually, but there are times when it really doesn't work.
Yeah, it was not clicking with the group, so I switched over to Soundwave.
And there's also another subset of that sort of look at how.
Or if we're being honest, Devastator.
Not smart enough to be Soundwave, huh?
This is very true.
But yeah, like there's another subset of that I am look at how unique and different I am thing. And again, that can be fine, but like, the look, I'm a vampiric half dragon, half demon,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, that special snowflakeism does get under my skin in gaming, and it's just like, come on, dude. I understand, dude. Really.
mind you, I've seen that done well.
Yeah, and there's particularly if you're playing, say, a character of something like say the example of the Gnome Monk. That sounds awesome because I just had this image of completely struggling against your predatory instincts. No, do not eat the halfling.
Yes. Oh no, that was entirely part of it.
And that's awesome. That sounds like that character sounds like a load of fun.
I didn't tell you the other part. He was multi-class assassin.
That's brilliant.
It was a lot. The character was a lot of fun to play, honestly.
Do not eat the small, delicious halfling who probably tastes great slathered in butter. Oh, look, he fell in the butter. I hate you, God.
No. Every time it's like I've learned to control this part of me. I do not devour the halfling. No. Can I at least eat the gnome, please? Oh.
It's just a gnome. There are a ton of them everywhere.
Yeah, I know the halfling's like part of the team, but this gnome, he's annoying. He's been pissing all of us off. Wouldn't it be just easier if he wasn't here anymore and I could make that happen? No one would know, and he'd be delicious. No, really?
Oh.
Okay, fine. Yes, you're right. The master would probably thwap me across the nose with a rolled up newspaper if he saw me now. I'm sorry. But Right. Don't eat sentience. Don't eat sentience. Don't eat sentience. Don't eat sentience. Even if there are enemies. Yes, even if there are enemies. God damn it.
Son of a.
Yeah, I really like the character. It was a fun character to play, and it was.
But not everyone can be Vampire Hunter D or Dritsto Erden or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing is like those again. These are examples of that sort of snowflake character working brilliantly. Driss was a good character at first.
At first. I'll totally agree with at first.
Yeah. D is I love Vampire Hunter. The Vampire Hunter D was a lot of fun, but you can only go so far with that character before you run out of story to tell.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people were sort of dismayed about some of the race inclusions in 4th edition when it came out for exactly that reason.
Right.
Like the inclusion of both the Tiefling and the Dragonborn was like, oh, for crying, really, Dragonborn?
Yeah, I looked at the Tiefling and the Dragonborn. Hey, cool, awesome, Devilkin and giant fire-breathing lizard men, but no half orcs. What the fuck is wrong with you? 2 elves and super elves, but no half orcs. You heard this rant. You were there for this rant.
I was there for this rant. And I remember you going into the whole sort of, oh, I want to play a dragon. And again, that was you being offended by the fact they didn't include half-orcs, and I totally grok that. And at least the half-orcs made it into in the second player's handbook.
Yes.
And they were awesome.
Yes, because half-orcs are inherently awesome.
But like they did a really good job with, especially with the Dragonborn. They did a really good job with them.
Yes, the Dragonborn are actually a pretty cool race. But come on, no half-orcs.
I know, and 2 elves. I know, Eric.
No half-orcs and 2 fucking elves. What is it, like 10 years later, I'm still not over it?
I know. The really infuriating thing is the super elfy elves are the ones I was actually most intrigued by. The Eladrin,
Yeah.
I find the Eladrin vastly more interesting than the regular elves.
Well, I'm not going to lie, that the fact that the fact they were less super elves and more like high she was actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Didn't stop me from being really offended at the lack of half orcs, but you include goddamn super elves.
Oh.
Like, you couldn't drop the fucking like tieflings for half orcs. Come on.
Yeah, the really awful thing is, again, the tieflings ended up being kind of an interesting race.
Yeah, the whole like tainted scions of a lost evil empire.
Yep.
Like, that's kind of cool. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, honestly, they did a great job with that. In the Dragonborn being sort of part of a fallen empire of of their kin,
Yep.
and them and the Tieflings haven't been at each other's throats with their big fallen empires that have fallen into ruin at this point. In the sort
Yeah,
of
and they
dead.
still can't get over the fact that they're
Right, and then you listen to that's kind of cool. That's actually really cool. Then you've got dwarves being all dwarfy, and you've got humans being very humany, and halflings being halflings, and you've got the Eladrin, this sort of cool Feywild sort of high she thing, and then you've got the wood elves. You've got the elves who are just wood elves and are
yeah, they're pretty much just wood elves.
Hi,
Still no half orcs.
Hi, we're mechanically ridiculously awesome. I hate you.
But we're just wood elves.
I can't muster up hatred because I don't inherently hate elves. I'm one of those weirdos who likes both dwarves and elves. Go figure.
I used to be, and then the complete book of elves came out, and I bought into it for a little while until I was just like, sort of like the clans in MechWarrior. Like, I bought into it briefly, like, wow, that's kind of cool. I can get behind this. Wow, you just totally shat over the balance of this game, didn't you? You looked at the balance of this game and you said, you know what this needs? Steaming piles of shit. So yes, I hate the clans and BattleTech too, for exactly that reason.
I find the clans hilarious, honestly.
Sure, but mechanically they are just better.
Well, yeah, but that was the point. They're supposed to be just better.
Sure, from a story point of view, but this wasn't a story. This is a fucking game.
Oh God. So yeah,
a game where your balance is based on tonnage.
Yeah, they eventually introduced the battle point value system, which helped, but
not enough.
No, it didn't, but it helped.
Which is why I'm much more interested in MechWarrior than BattleTech.
Yeah.
MechWarrior the RPG.
Yeah.
Especially considering when your character gets inside their giant robot, you get to play BattleTech, but it's an RPG. We're doing things like tracking ammo and worrying about like your core going critical actually fucking matter.
Right.
As opposed to like why.
Where you also have to track it for your mech and not like a unit of like 12.
Yeah, and it's why do I have to check? Why do I have to track the ammo on every fucking robot in my squad? I'm playing a tactical battle game here, not bookkeeping RS. What I'm saying is, like, for all my love of the MechWarrior universe, I have some real mechanical problems with that.
Oh, sure, absolutely, I totally rock that.
And not just because the first war game I ever played was Warhammer Fantasy. That probably has a lot to do with it, honestly.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. But let's get back to
the subject at hand.
Yeah. Any other tropes that you're thinking of off the top of your head?
I'm becoming increasingly less tolerant of the weird for weirdness' sake.
Yeah.
Um, it used to be something I really supported, but I think I've had my fill to the point where it's actually a mild annoyance.
I can see that.
Where it's like, great, you're a flying heart-shaped potato with sapience. Uh, okay, how does that work into our group of space doctors?
Yeah. Yeah, I admit it's for me. It's not just the weird for weird to say. It's the making a character that doesn't fit into the that doesn't inherit that it very obviously is designed to intentionally not fit into the sort of expectations of the campaign as it's laid out. And that's coming from my sort of general seat as a game master. That those characters, I always look at them and go, oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to.
In some places, the weird for weirdness' sake, it makes perfect sense. Like a disparate group of space pirates, and someone decides to play a sapient thermivore slime.
Sure, amoeba more really, but yeah.
Yeah. And okay, cool. As long as they're down with space piracy, cool.
That worked fine. It worked brilliantly.
Yeah.
Well, Leland's good at that sort of thing.
Yeah, Leland's particularly good at that sort of thing. He's the most successful person I've seen do it.
Well,
but
that's
like
the thing is, whenever Leland does it, he always makes sure to look for ways to make sure it fits in with everything else.
Yes.
That fits into the campaign concept, because otherwise, what's the fucking point?
But if the campaign conceit is a bunch of treasure hunting brigands, and you decide to bring in the super lawful paladin, really?
I've seen that.
So have I. I'm like, really? Or the other side, the group of Templars searching for holy relics, and you're playing the Chaos Cultist?
Yep. Yep.
And,
yeah, I mean,
yeah, I understand you're maybe not down with the conceit of the campaign, and this is your like little rebellion against it. I understand that, but there are better ways to do it than making someone who is who in any other circumstances would be the villain in the book, or at least the antagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I've been blissfully not had that happen very often, so thank God.
I haven't had that happen recently, and by recently, I mean like the past 15 years.
Yeah. The only like I could see that working in a game where, like, going into it, all the players in the game master know about it and are on board, and the intent is to eventually have that character fall out with the party and the players switch characters, so that character becomes, like, a recurring antagonist eventually.
Yeah, and that could be really cool. Like I could see a lot of potential with something like that, where you take particularly if someone knows they're going to have to leave the campaign early, and the whole point is for them to become the bad guy, that their character to become the bad guy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, they know they're only going to be there for like a month or so, and they want to play. They want they want to hang out and play well for the month they're going to be around. That could be really interesting, an interesting way to handle that. And then if they happen to be back in town, they can actually play the antagonist, help co-GM.
Right. As they come in, it's like, aha, I have finally come to wreak revenge upon my friends.
Oh my God.
But yeah.
The weird for weird. Honestly, the anything for its own sake thing is a problem. Honestly.
Yeah, and The thing is, I understand some of it because, dude, if you put down a campaign book in front of me, a rule book in front of me for your new campaign, and I see some sort of monstrous race, I'm going to play that monstrous race.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
aware.
I can't help myself. You can't put the bowl of candy in front of me and tell me not to eat the candy.
Well, I can. You might not listen to me, but I can tell you not to.
Well, you can, but then I'll just take the candy and go home. Like, and yeah, I'm all about playing monsters, so I totally understand the special snowflake thing. I want to be a vampire or a dragonborn or a Shoggoth. Not that I haven't played a Shoggoth before. Totally played a Shoggoth once.
Yeah.
Wasn't really a Shoggoth, but it was a superhero campaign. The character conceit was difficult.
I was not in this game, but I've heard you talk about it before.
Yeah. Character is really fun and interesting, but problematic in any other group.
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh, boy. Yeah, it's... I'm trying to think of other sort of tropes or archetypes archetypes that I find problematic. And again, as always, like all of these in the right hands and with the right sort of conceit for the character, they all work.
Yeah, you can make any of these work. Like with a skilled enough player or with the right people on board, these all work.
Absolutely.
You can play the paladin, like the lawful good paladin, the group of brigands. It requires everyone to be on board, and two, a really skilled player to be able to make that dichotomy work.
Yeah, honestly,
but I'm not going to fucking try it.
That's probably one of the hardest I can think of. Right, that example right there.
Yeah,
is like one of the hardest I can think of how to make work. I like. The example I can think of that might make it sort of almost work is in a group of players, the campaign where the campaign conceit is that it's a bunch of people who have been forced, like as an example, there was a heroic hero system game, so heroic level, not super heroic, hero system game that guy knew ran it was a pirates game.
Okay.
It was people they were playing pirates. Everyone were basically passengers on a ship that got taken by pirate ship and were basically offered the choice of join the crew or die. They were conscripted into it, and so they all had sort of varying levels of being cool with becoming pirates. And in that kind of situation, I could see sort of if you were doing it in a fantasy game, like a paladin being dragooned into it and basically, working to overthrow the captain, get rid of the captain over time. Well, the rest of the party's all zen, like, we get to be pirates now.
I can also see like the treasure hunting brigands like are hunting for are hunting for treasure, and it just so happens part of that treasure is an incredibly valuable holy relic, and the paladin must lower himself to work with these guys because he needs their skill set,
right? And to recover the thing for his,
for his temple, church,
whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah, totally.
And with the right group, could be really interesting. But I'm going to tell you, like, I haven't been in that group.
The pirate game worked actually pretty well, and there were people who were sort of okay with it, and there were two-player characters who were basically like, yeah, when I get the chance, Mad Jack McPhee's going down. One of them ended up actually, his character ended up, when he got the chance, defecting to the other side and becoming a pirate hunter, and becoming an antagonist for the party. That was also the campaign. It was again hero system. So one of the characters had hunted Australia. apparently Australia, the Australia was had it out for this guy. I don't. Wasn't worth a lot of wasn't worth as many points as you think it would be, given that they were in the Caribbean and Australia is kind of far away. So
Right.
but he managed to piss off the entirety of Australia.
Did he? Did he feed a baby to a dingo?
I don't know. I
Did he
don't know
feed
why
a
he
baby koala to a dingo.
I never found out why he was.
Did he
hunted by
bring
Australia.
rabbits?
Never found out why he was hunted by Australia. Oh, goddamn Mad Jack McPhee. Oh God. By the way, what a great pirate captain name.
Yeah, Magic McPhee. That's a really good one. So yeah, I mean that pretty much covers the shit I hate.
Yeah, as I said, the stuff the stuff I that bothers me is the stuff that makes that either makes things more difficult for the group as a whole, so like it makes other players have less fun, or that make my life as a game master a living nightmare.
Right.
Those things that bother me the most because I'm a game master primarily.
But Peter, we're not going to tackle the problem of my missing parents who were kidnapped by the Dark Lord of the Netherverse, and how that ties into my vampiric draconianism.
But we're just doing a pirate campaign.
There's no magic in this world. How does that work?
I have run fourth ed games where I had not planned on some of the I had a set sort of group of races, and one of my players was like, but I really wanted to play race X, and I'm like, but I hadn't planned for race X.
Right.
Fuck. How the fuck do I work these? As an example, the Shadowland campaign I've run, that campaign world. Those of you who are aware, so the basic premise of the campaign world is, after a series of basically, over the course of a couple hundred years, the various horrible evil plots have happened to try to take the world, massive uprising of demonic invasion being led by being led by the tieflings originally, and then the heroes of the world stop that at great cost, and then the lords of the dead rise up and massive armies of dead attack the world, and again they drive them off at great cost, and then the drow who've been biding their time basically go, okay, and now we're going to invade the surface and take over, and they win. For the most part, leaving a small chunk of the world where the free races still hang out, and the Drow have conquered most of the rest of the surface and have imprisoned the gods and imprisoned most of the gods that aren't theirs. They left the Raven Queen untouched because you don't get rid of death. That's a terrible idea if you want.
Yeah.
The Drow are like, wait. That's a bad plan.
If we get rid of death, how do we execute dissidents?
Nope, we're not doing that. We're not falling for that one. And they threw the surface into sort of perpetual twilight, basically. Because this god of the sun was banished. And so I had it set up for and I even worked in some atypical races because I knew my players might be interested in playing some of the atypical races. So, orcs were a playable race. I used half orcs in 4th edition because they're right there. and we're better designed player character race than the monster manual write-up for orcs as player characters. Which existed, but they weren't as well thought out for player characters. I even worked in options for goblins and kobolds if players wanted to play those, along with the classic sort of player character races from the player's handbook. And then I thought, wait, someone might want to play Warforged, so I'll throw that in there too. I came with a good rationale for that. And I sat there living in dread for someone asking to play a Shardmind. I'm like, no, just no, stop.
Actually, I suddenly had the idea of wanting. I suddenly want to play a stupid goblin assassin. But he thinks he's very smart and clever. And refuses to accept the idea that he's an idiot.
Well, I mean, it's sort of in that particular campaign where like the goblins were among the goblins and the dwarves had a long-standing sort of grudge against each other, but both of them hate the drow more than they hate each other.
Yeah, everybody hates the drow. I mean, who likes the drow?
Not even other drow, really. But even then, I even made sure to have like elements within the drow society I'd established after the drow had conquered the world, where if someone wanted to play a drow, they could, because I thought of that. And I was still living in dread of someone picking something really fucking stupid that I hadn't planned for. For the sake of, but I want to play this special thing. I will say I didn't outright say. There's only one race in D&D 4th edition that I've ever said, no, I'm not allowing this in my campaign. And it wasn't for it's going to be tricky. It wasn't because I find it tricky to work them in rationale wise, because actually it would have been fairly easy given the campaign setting, which are the Revenants. It's because Revenants are fucking broken in 4th ed.
I haven't even really looked at them. It's not something I've been terribly playing. Something undead used to have an appeal for me, but honestly, outside of like the Weird West, where I get to play an undead gunslinger, like doesn't really hold an appeal for me anymore.
But like in that campaign setting, like a revenant actually like like the Raven Queen raising a fallen hero from the dead to fight against the drow makes sense.
Actually makes a lot of sense, honestly.
The problem is the revenants are fucking broken. But yeah, like a Shardmind, I would have had to like I don't know what I would have done to work one in. Like I literally like
Peter, I want to play a Githyanki.
No, fuck you. Fuck off with the Githyanki. Fuck off with it. No, you can't play a Bladeling either. Not that I don't know why you'd want to play a Bladeling, but no. There are some races I was just like, yeah, no, fuck this. Tachi in the chat says, Shardminds, the race hardly no DM can work in. I can think of campaigns where Shardminds work. If you're doing something vaguely Planescapey, they actually work pretty well.
In which case I can play Githyanki.
Yeah, sadly. There are campaigns where but there are a bunch of races they introduced that I'm looking at them like, oh, why?
Yeah,
Yeah, Tachi's right. They're basically they would end up being the way I'd work them in end up being similar to the way I worked in the Warforged.
Right.
The Warforged were basically basically is sort of independently active golems that were designed by a project between the dwarves and like maybe the Eladrin, I don't remember exactly, to fight against the undead armies, because they're not like they're a troop type that the undead can't turn against us. And the Warforged developed sentience, and they were all like, oh,
hey, dude, I'm a dude now.
Right. Yes.
So are you going to do the whole Geth Quarian thing, or are you just going to be cool with me being a dude?
Are you willing to help us still fight against the undead?
Well, you did make me to fight things, and it is something I enjoy. So, sure.
Sweet. You're not going to try to turn against us and kill us, right?
Not today.
Well, as long as you're cool with us, we're mostly cool with you. I mean, we didn't mean for you to become, we didn't expect you to actually become like fully sentient living beings, but you apparently are.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
guess
no, I totally understand that. Tell you what, why don't we split the difference and you like just rivet some like kick-ass super armor on there. That'd be pretty awesome.
cool.
Also, make sure it's shiny. I want to be able to look at myself in the mirror and see infinite me's. Because apparently I'm also an arrogant prick.
Sure, why not?
Really shiny. I want to look in the mirror and see infinite me's.
But yeah, that's how I worked the Warforged in that campaign setting. Despite that, I hadn't actually initially planned on them. I'm like, it occurred to me that someone might want to play one, so I'm like, oh god, how do I work them in? I got it. Wonk. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, But yeah, that is sort of
What was the fucking divine equivalent of tieflings in fourth ed? I remember reading they weren't actually like I remember reading they weren't actually like Nephilim, but instead like reincarnated gods in mortal form, but they're attained all their memories but not their skills, and it's like, really? Couldn't you just made Nephilim? Wouldn't that have been easier?
Well, the Deva were interesting. They decided not to go with the Aasimar, which is the opposite of the Tieflings in the earlier versions.
Okay.
It was originally the Aasimar, but they're fine. Whatever. That would have been another one. I'd been a little bit tricky. It would have been trickier for me to work in, but I would probably have been able to come up with something. But yeah, people choosing picking something that is outside what I've got. Once I've established a campaign setting and give it to players, and they come with something they want that's completely outside of it because they fixated on a character concept and they refuse to bend on that. That actually annoys me.
No, I totally understand that.
It's like, yeah, I get that you've got an idea for a character you really want to play, but it doesn't fit into this campaign setting. Could you come up with something different, please? No? Why are you doing this to me? Why? You realize... It doesn't happen very often, honestly. And like 95% of the time when someone comes up with something that I haven't planned for, they've looked at like a niche that I've not covered, that I've had forgotten, and they come with suggestions for how to work it in. Because most of the people I play with are good like that. Or they pick something that I look at and go, yeah, I can work that in. That's not a problem. It's like, yeah, it's outside what I've come up with, but I have notions that I could plug it into. Fine, not a problem. It's I've lucked into the fact that I rarely have players who really go full on, but I want to play something that I've got the thing I want to play and I refuse to bend. Really? But okay. So yeah, I guess that's sort of the So again, yeah, I guess from my seat, the things that bug me most are honestly, the wanting to be different for just because that's what they want,
right?
And to hell with the rest of the campaign or the other players. The character types that will cause friction in the group in unpleasant ways that will upset other players, and people whose character concepts exist solely to make their character overpowered.
That one particularly annoys me because I understand like wanting to be the thing. And there's like there are many times where it's like, oh sweet, I can be this monster. No, Eric, but it's in the main book. No, Eric, but I want to have fangs. No, Eric, and tusks. No, Eric, I don't want to headbutt things to death. You can do that with a Scotsman, but I don't want to be a Scotsman.
But but yeah, like, I'm okay. Like, any character concept can actually be turned into an interesting and playable character, even if you've built it like, okay, this is I've always had a problem with people saying that overpowered characters are bad for role playing because or powerful characters are bad for role playing, and the characters that are inherently weaker are inherently better characters for role playing. I've always found that to be a false, to be false. Honestly, neither is inherently better for role playing, or weak, or neither is inherently better or worse for role playing in and of themselves. That said, there are a lot of people who are not interested in whose character concepts entirely are entirely built around serving their desire to be more powerful than everybody else in the group, and aren't interested in their character concept isn't there to serve as an actual character. It's there to justify their list of broken abilities, and that's a problem.
Yeah, and yeah, I've accidentally made the overpowered character. I've accidentally made the underpowered character. It's always been in service of the character,
Right.
or because there's something mechanically I really want to try out and I think is cool. Now build the character around that mechanic, like throwing people at other people.
Right, as I've, I oftentimes in a lot of campaigns, so playing a character that is intentionally not is intentionally an underpowered character can be problematic, but in the hands of the right player, that works. It can still work. A great example of that was the Feng Shui game I ran with you guys on Tuesdays. Our friend Roach played a character who he intentionally gimped the character because the concept wasn't someone who was actually a powerful combatant, and this is in a Feng Shui game.
Yeah.
His character was someone who wanted to be an actor and was a stuntman, so he knew martial arts, but he wasn't like actively good at it. But there isn't really an archetype for that, so he built it around the martial artist who's a badass, and he intentionally basically locked part of his martial arts away, and we came up with the character background reason for that having happened, and that made the character interesting and allowed for interesting story elements and allowed him to occasionally bust out and be effective.
Yes. Basically anything that altered his consciousness. Generally when he didn't want it to.
Right. And that was brilliant. It worked great. But in the hands of someone, there are a lot of players I've had that would not have been able to pull that off. Roach pulled it off because Roach is really good at that sort of stuff.
Yes. Absolutely.
So again, it's one of those things that I would not trust in just anyone's hands. And I was leery about it because it was the first time I'd role-played with Roach. But I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because I knew he was an experienced role-player. And, dear God, he knocked it out of the park. But that's a character concept that, in the wrong hands, would be a real fucking problem.
Yeah.
And again, in the wrong hands, that's a character that is designed to cause problems for the party and the other players because it's intentionally underpowered and will cause problems for the party. And that's in most campaigns, that's a real problem. So
again, it's another case of knowing your players. So.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. Roach knew the rest of the group, so
yeah, he knew the rest of the group, and both you and he have known each other, just haven't gamed together before.
Right. So and he knew that I was an experienced game master. I knew he was an experienced role player. So
right,
we trusted each other to be able to handle it, and we did.
And it worked out awesome. We had some great moments in that.
Yeah.
Marcus, everywhere you go explodes.
Yeah. So I imagine there are probably archetypes and tropes we've missed that annoy us, or that but I think that covers most of them, honestly. Um, I mean, beyond the fact that elves annoy Eric.
Yeah. I mean, not the point where I won't play in parties with them, but you're gonna have to work really hard to get me to play an elf. Like, I doubt it's possible, honestly.
So, Eric, I've got a great idea for a fantasy campaign. It's an elf-centric game where everybody are elves,
I'm playing a half orc,
but everybody are elves.
but I'm a special half orc who's also a vampire, whose parents were kidnapped by dragons from space. Also, I'm better than everyone else.
So what you're saying, Eric, is you don't want to actually play this campaign.
Pretty much.
Which is what I'd rather people say. See, no, I'm not interested in that campaign, Peter. Oh, okay then. That's fine.
And that's the thing. I do understand the wanting to play in a campaign because it was offered to you.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly if you're in the middle of a dry spell and it's like you will grasp at anything. But you're allowed to say no.
Yeah. People forget that. Anywho, I think that's going to do it for this episode, though. We've been running for a bit over an hour, and I think we've covered most of what we wanted to cover on this. I mean, can you think of anything else that we've forgotten?
D&D campaigns that don't let me be a half orc or a full-blooded orc.
You've played in them.
I mean, I don't necessarily have to play it, but the option needs to be there.
I've run a fourth ed game that wasn't an option. You played in it.
Yeah, giant wolf monsters. That's almost as good.
Okay, fair enough. And you played a dwarf.
Yeah. See, you had the monstrous option, and I chose not to go with it in this case.
Yeah,
as long as it's there, I'm happy.
Right. At any rate, so that's going to do it for this week. We normally save time at the end of each episode for viewer questions. We had a bunch of show topic suggestions that I think we could have just done as end of episode questions, but A, we've run quite a while, and B, I think most of them would have worked out better as actual show topics as opposed to covering them in 10 minutes as a question. So I think we will save those for future shows.
Yes.
So, but if you do have questions you'd like to answer, like us to answer on the show, something that can be covered in 5-10 minutes, please email them to us. We love getting viewer questions.
We really do. They're great.
And you can email them to us. Our email address is surlygrognards@yahoo.com, surlygrognards@yahoo.com. Or if you're listening to us on YouTube, you can leave a comment on YouTube on the recording, and we will be sure to check that out. Or at least I will. Eric, doesn't do that sort of thing. I'm the one who checks the email and keeps an eye on the comments.
I'm mostly just here to get drunk and be someone else to rant.
Also, you're there to provide the player's view.
Yes, that too. That's the official reason.
The show would be much less interesting if it was just me ranting for an hour. Also, I'd run out of things to say very quickly.
Right. Also, though, we're sharing the workload.
What? No, never. And as we mentioned, we love getting show topic suggestions. So if you've got a topic you'd like us to cover for an episode, let us know. We love getting them. It makes doing the show a lot more fun and easier for us because we don't have to come up with our own topics. We can sort of, cover what you guys want to hear us talk about, honestly. And A, that means you guys hear what we're talking about, and B, it means we can focus more on coming with an interesting discussion as opposed to trying to figure out what the fuck we're going to talk about, or, just ramble on about the things that are annoying us or we've been doing recently, although we do that from time to time.
We will eventually end up doing that.
Yep. especially if something stands out that we really want to natter on about.
Yes.
But yeah, if you've got topics for us, please let us know. Email us or comments in YouTube. Those are both great ways to do it. If you've got feedback for us, ways we can make the show better, we love getting constructive criticism. Email us. You've got the email address, surlygrognards@yahoo.com, or post them on YouTube, and we'll do what we can to improve the show. If you've got ways we can improve the show. Am I forgetting anything else? Oh, right, yeah. We record the show most Monday nights at about 7 p.m. Eastern here on hitbox.tv/mecha-gm. I tweet out when the show's going to be going live. My Twitter handle's @mechagm, so keep an eye on that, and you'll know when the stream's about to go up. I try to get the recordings of the show up onto YouTube as quickly as possible, usually within a day or so of recording the show. At some point, I'd love to get this up in MP3 format on some podcast site, but we have like 160 some odd episodes, and
we're lazy.
And that will take a long time to get all those up. I'm looking into it. I haven't decided yet how I'm going to do it yet, so I will let you guys know if I actually end up doing it. It'll take time. Other than that, though, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening. We really do appreciate it. We love for those of you who heard it live, we love the live audience. You guys are great, and occasionally you guys, chime in with some stuff we actually find very useful to the show. So thank you guys. And we'll be back next time with some other damn full topic. Maybe Eric will rant about dinosaurs for an hour. I don't know.
There's a pretty good chance of that anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, that's going to do it for this week, guys. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.
Bye, humans.